as a reminder, this show, it's something that we do once a week, Thursday at 10 a.m., except for the last one of the month. So we won't be having one next week, but we will have a show the week after next. And I'm going to be my own guest, actually. I'm going to speak on are you in a rut, then cross over your cattle guard. And if that doesn't make sense to you, I really encourage you to tune in. If you've ever experienced fear in your life, which I know that we all have, and let's just say it's something that you've really wanted to do. It could even be maybe a calling that you've had in your life. But, you feel like the fear is kind of inhibiting that. I'm going to share my story. So I'm going to try to get as vulnerable as I can with everyone, and also give you some tips as far as how to overcome that. So, as a reminder, when Yale starts to speak, please try to be as engaging. We want to hear as much input. This is really an opportunity for you to be engaged and to be open. And like I said, there's going to be a drawing at the end. So for us to know that you're here, please say hello or whatever. Well, at this point, I want to welcome the guest. He's not really a guest here, but he is a guest of the show. Yale, why don't you pull your chair over here?
All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello. How does Yale look? Does he look good today? But I want to welcome Yale here.
Please.
Yes. It is an honor. We're already getting to see. Oh, yes. Good morning. Hi, Beth. How you doing this morning? It's certainly an honor to have Yale this morning.
I can't read anything on that screen. So
that's okay. I have 20/20 still.
Okay, good.
Yeah, it's okay, man. I'm here for you. But it's an honor to have Yale here this morning. I have worked with Yale now for 19 years. I believe.
A long time.
And so Yale and I started within about a month of one another. And when he was first hired, my manager at the time said, Lee, I want you guys to take Yale on the road, to do the road tour. And we did that. And in the rep days, Yale, when our staff office was a lot smaller, Yale held down underwriting. And I tried the best I could to hold down the sales. So I could go on and on about the good things. I can have a few bad things too, but we won't say those. This isn't a roast. But I could go on and on about the good things about Yale. But Yale, why don't you share, with the audience? I mean, I know a lot of people know you, but just share some things about yourself, maybe your family, where you're from, background, just to get to know you a little bit better.
Yeah. Well, I'm from California. Grew up out there, went to UCLA, and really never thought I would leave California, but then got married, had kids, and it was a good time to leave, so we ended up here about 25 years ago. So I've been in Tennessee about 25 years. Wife, 3 kids, a daughter, son, daughter. They're all adults now, or more or less, and very proud of them. So,
and I know you just moved. That's something you did in the last couple of months.
Right. We had lived in Spring Hill. Lee lives down there also, 20 minutes south of Nashville. For about 20 years we lived there and raised our kids and everything. And then now, once they were out of the house, my wife really wanted to move up to Nashville to become part of the action. And so we moved to East Nashville. And now 2 of our kids have moved back in with us. So.
And I noticed some of the clothes that you're wearing is even kind of more East Nashville. It's more fitted Yale.
Yeah, I tried to grow the beard out. I got one of those hats with a feather in it. We're getting really hip.
Yeah, so it's been a good move, obviously.
Yeah, it's been a good move.
Well, so I know within the past 3 months, I don't know if everybody knows this, if you tried to call Yale, you would know this. If you call Yale. But... So you just got back from a trip, a backpacking trip, right?
That's right, yeah. My son, who's 24 now, and his girlfriend and myself, we went on about a month-long, really 3-week-long backpacking trip in California. It's called the John Muir Trail, and it's part of the Pacific Crest Trail, which runs from Mexico to Canada. And it's about a 220-mile part of it from Mount Whitney up to Yosemite.
Wow.
And we had a really great time, but I will tell you, it was tough. It was even tougher. I knew it was going to be very hard, and I trained as much as I could, and I'm fairly fit, but I was not prepared for the hours of uphill climbing on these huge steps up,
Wow.
up for hours at a time in high altitude, and a lot of days it was really hot, carrying a far too heavy backpack with everything in it. So
You should have
I
left
will
those
tell
canned
you,
foods home, Yale.
right.
It'll add weight.
All that whiskey.
Right.
took
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much
yeah.
weight,
We are live here, okay?
That's right.
Let's just be appropriate.
Live? Oh no! I thought we were going to edit this.
That's right.
Anyway, we had a great time, but that is the last long time backpacking trip that I will go on.
How much weight did you lose? I know when I first saw you, I was like,
Yeah.
"Is that Yale? What?" How
I
much
know.
weight did you lose?
I really didn't weigh myself before and after, but I
Right.
mean, I must have lost 10 or 15 pounds.
You didn't have much weight to lose.
Not a lot, you
Yeah.
know. Yeah, but I was in good shape by the end of that trip. So.
Well, it's good to have you back. So, is that something you'd ever do again?
I'll go out for 2 or 3 days,
Okay.
but if I take a long vacation again, it's going to be on a beach somewhere, close
hear
to
ya.
a bar.
Having a
and,
little drink in your hand in
right,
the sand.
exactly.
Right. I
Jamaica,
gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Well, with that, Yale's going to speak about the powers of attorney. I was going to. No, I'm not. But Yale, I know this is something obviously you know a lot about, and we've had a lot of interest from agents about that. So you're up.
Yeah.
Powers of attorney.
Very good. I will get to powers of attorney. First, though, I want to say, I can see myself. I'm looking right at myself, and it's amazing how much glare is coming off the top of my head. So if you have to wear sunglasses in
There's
your
a little
office
shine. There's a
for
little
this,
shine there,
don't-
Yale.
yeah. All right. Anyway, I'm going to talk about powers of attorney. It's something that every title agent deals with almost on a daily basis. So we just want to make sure we're all on the same page, we're all on board as to what we're looking for and what's acceptable and what's not. The first thing I'll say about powers of attorney is we don't like them. We don't want to rely on them. We have a lot of claims. I don't think we have claims here in Tennessee so much, but nationally it is a big area for claims. People use powers of attorney. Either they are fraudulently, procured, or they have been revoked, or the person is incompetent, and the other people involved in the family say, "What did you do? Grandma's not, she didn't want that house to be sold." We have claims on powers of attorney. So our basic position is we don't want to rely on powers of attorney if we don't have to. So if there's any way to have the actual, owner or borrower sign the deed or the deed of trust or whatever document it is that we're insuring, we want that person to sign and not have attorney-in-fact sign for them. So that's number one. The second thing is, if we are going to rely on a power of attorney, we want it to be specific to the property and specific to the transaction. Now, this is where we get into kind of a sliding scale, all right? There's wonderful, ideal powers of attorney that your offices are preparing for a specific transaction. It's got the property description in it. It might even have if it's for the person who's going to sign a deed, it might have the name of the buyer and the sales price in it. It says that the person can execute the deed to sell the property and any other closing documents. So that's a perfect power of attorney, and it was signed, last week in your office. So we know it's valid. We know the person knows about the transaction and has authorized someone else to sign for them because they're going out of the country. Then on the other side, there's a really crappy old power of attorney that doesn't contain any of that. It was, just a super general power of attorney. I grant Jim Smith anything, he can sign anything for me. And we don't want to rely on that. So, but in between there's this sliding scale. Where are we? Where does this power of attorney that you're being presented with fit? And we'll just have to send those in to us. Feel free. We have all these underwriters in the office, and we'll be glad to help you look at those powers of attorney if you have any question about them. I will say that we want it to be specific to the property. It also needs to be durable. That's one of the threshold issues. The power of attorney needs to say something to the effect of, this power of attorney is to remain effective even if I become incompetent. Anything like that to give evidence that the person wanted it to be in effect after they become incompetent. So specific and durable. One of the, I'll give an example of a time when we might be willing to use an older, general, durable power of attorney. And that is in the case where someone did what they were supposed to do. They went and had a power of attorney drawn, usually older folks. They know they're getting older, and they'll have a general power of attorney drawn up and signed, notarized, and it's just sitting around, and now they have become incompetent. And the attorney, now, you know, the family wants to sell the house, usually to pay for the parents' care. We see that very often. And here they bring in this power of attorney that's 10 years old. It's very general, it is durable, it contains a lot of good powers, but of course it's not specific to this transaction or this property. In that kind of case, if we can get proof that the person really has become incompetent, and we get a good feeling that the transaction is above board, there isn't anyone who could complain about it, any other family members, we can often use that type of power of attorney in that kind of case. But feel free to call and send that one in if you have any questions about it. In some cases where we're not exactly sure, we might require getting consents from all of the other people who would be the heirs at law of the principal to tell us that they agree with the transaction and that they know what's going on. So that's a good way to protect ourselves from fraudulent use of the power of attorney. Let's talk about how the document that is being signed, the deed or the deed of trust, is going to be executed by the attorney in fact. Oh, and I'm going to say one thing right now. The person who grants the power of attorney is called the principal, and the person who receives the powers is the attorney in fact. It's good to use the correct language when you're in this business. So a power of attorney is used to grant the attorney in fact the powers, or authorize the attorney in fact. So it's good not to call somebody who is the attorney in fact, don't call them the power of attorney. It sounds better to use the right language. So the person who is going to sign is the attorney in fact. So how is it that we want the attorney in fact to sign the document that we're going to insure? And here's a multiple choice question for a gift.
Let's see. So the first person that gives the answer wins a $25 gift card. So Yale?
Wow, $25?
$25, Yale.
But I can't win, I guess.
No.
Okay, darn it.
No.
All right.
It's not about you, it's about the audience.
So let's say you've prepared your deed. Let's say it's a deed that's going to be signed. You've prepared your deed. You've listed the person, the actual owner of the property as the grantor, and in the signature line you've typed in the grantor's name by the attorney in fact's name. You've got the notary acknowledgement all set up for a power of attorney notary. Jim Smith by Bob Jones, his attorney in fact. Now the person's actually going to sign the document. How is it that Tennessee law says that that document has to be signed? And I'll give you 4 possible answers.
Okay.
A, I'm going to say Fred Flintstone and Wilma, and let's say that Wilma is signing for Fred. He's out of town. A, Fred Flintstone, comma, by Wilma Flintstone, his attorney in fact. So she's going to write all that out. B, would she sign Wilma Flintstone? C, would she sign Fred Flintstone? Or D, any of the above?
So A, B, C, or D. You can just write. You can just put A, B, C, or D.
Yeah. And
So
just
you have
type
about
that
a
in and send it in.
25% chance. If you don't know the
That's
answer.
right, exactly.
So Jamie says A. So as soon as the person gets right, you just say it's right. So Jamie's saying A. Melanie is saying A.
Those are good answers.
Good answers. Okay. Anybody else want? So Sasha's saying A. Trent is saying A. So is A that we can just is A the answer? Or they just need to keep going.
A is really not the answer.
Whoa. Okay. So let's just keep trying. A is not the answer. Anybody else? Anybody else? And you can answer again. If you've already tried, you can answer again.
Right. And again, the choices are, this is how the person's going to write it out. Fred Flintstone by Wilma Flintstone, his attorney in fact. B, Wilma Flintstone. C, Fred Flintstone.
Trent
the
says
grantor.
D.
D, all of the above. It is D.
Okay, so Trent wins the $25 Starbucks gift card.
There is actually a card.
Congratulations, Trent.
All right, very good. And I'll just explain that. Now, you all said A, and we greatly prefer for that first way to be used. Fred Flintstone by Wilma Flintstone, his attorney in fact. We want them to write that all out. But according to TCA 66-5-104, execution by agent or attorney, any of those ways is actually valid and legal as long as, and I'll just read the end of this statute, if the instrument on its face shows the character in which it is intended to be executed. So we want you to do it the way that everybody guessed was the right answer. But truly, if the document makes it very clear in the signature line and the notary acknowledgement and elsewhere that the attorney in fact is signing for the principal, it's going to be a valid document. So keep doing what you're doing the right way, the way we want you to do it. But on that rare occasion when a document has been signed in one of those other ways, as long as it's really clear, you can rely on it. So
great,
excellent.
So does Yale doing a pretty good job, guys? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, glad to hear that. Fantastic.
Silence. Yeah.
Let me think. Oh yes, I'm going to talk briefly about who can grant powers of attorney, because this comes up sometimes. Individuals can grant powers of attorney, no problem, as long as they're competent. Fiduciaries cannot, and we never want to accept a power of attorney from a fiduciary. An administrator of an estate is someone who that individual has been given the power to act for the estate. That puts them in a fiduciary capacity, and they can't give a power of attorney to someone else to sign for them in their capacity as administrator of an estate or executor of a will. There's a special case as far as trustees of a trust. So if the property is vested in the trustees of a trust, traditionally, historically, we never wanted to accept a power of attorney from a trustee acting in his capacity as trustee. The Tennessee statute allows trustees to appoint agents to do things for them, and a lot of attorneys in the state have interpreted that to allow trustees to appoint an attorney in fact and grant a power of attorney. We don't like to rely on that if we at all can help it, but there are certain circumstances where we feel it's a safe situation, there's not going to be a claim. And so if you have that situation, run it by us. We'll just want to ask you a bunch of questions and have you find some information out. A typical example might be where, Fred and Wilma are trustees of their own trust. It's their house. The property's in their trust. Fred's out of town. He grants Wilma power of attorney to sign for him as trustee. We know he knows about the transaction. We know that he approves it. It's a very low risk situation there. But in general, we don't like to rely on trustees giving powers of attorney. a corporation can give a power of attorney itself, but the president or any officer of a corporation cannot grant a power of attorney for someone else to act in their capacity in that officership. I can't, if I'm president of ABC Builders, I can't grant someone a power of attorney to sign for me as president. The corporation itself can grant a power of attorney, and if that's going to happen, we would want, what does that mean? A little volume thing came up on the screen. No problem?
I have no idea.
We have no idea. We hope that you can hear us, although it says mute on it. Should we check that out?
It's okay. I'll just continue.
Okay, very good. But it's blocking my face, and that's really good. I like to see myself. I'm going to move over here. Anyway, when we were going to accept a power of attorney granted by a corporation itself, the board of directors needs to meet and pass a resolution appointing someone as the attorney in fact, and authorizing some officer, the president, to sign a power of attorney on behalf of the corporation, appointing that other person as attorney in fact for the corporation. So we want to see those things attached to the back of the power of attorney itself. It's going to be kind of rare. I hardly ever see that happen. Another specific case is with LLCs. The LLC statute actually authorizes the manager to grant a power of attorney for someone to act for him in his capacity as manager of that LLC. So that's a little unusual, but we can rely on that. Or the LLC itself can grant a power of attorney the same way a corporation would. Okay, I've kind of run through most of the things that we talk about. Well, I'm going to throw in one more thing. Lee's looking at me like
I think he likes the camera.
Gone too long. Yeah, exactly.
I think he likes the camera here, guys.
I'm going to go through one more thing, and that has to do with the competency of the person who's granted the power of attorney, okay? We see a power of attorney presented that was signed 6 months ago, you know, a nice power of attorney that we would normally otherwise accept. But then well, why can't the person sign themselves? Why are we trying to rely on this power of attorney? You should always ask, oh, well, she's incompetent now. Well, that raises the big question, was she competent 6 months ago when she signed this, or 3 weeks ago when she signed this? And now she's, you know, yeah, maybe something happened and she is now incompetent, but she was competent then. But we're going to need proof of that because, like I say at the beginning, we don't like powers of attorney. We don't want to rely on them. If we're going to rely on one, we got to make sure it's rock solid. And so in a case like that, we often are going to require a doctor's letter or certification that at the time that she signed that power of attorney, she was competent. And now she's not. So just be on the lookout for that. And we might make a requirement for that. And nobody likes, your agents and, you know, your customers are not going to like having to go back and find the doctor and get that letter. But we've got to make sure that that power of attorney is valid. So there we go. I can't think of anything major to talk about.
Great job, guys. If
than
we
those
really
things.
had a live audience right here in my office, I'm sure we'd hear the applause. So can you guys just tell Yale that he just did a great job.
Not
he did
necessary, but thanks.
Yes.
We'll just take it as a assumed.
You've been my best guest. Yeah, I mean, I've only had 3 shows, but
Oh, yeah.
best
You
yet.
tell that to everybody, I'm sure.
I do.